Let's look at leaf parts. And this really goes down to the parts of the leaf and how they appear on the plant. This is Swiss chard. This is actually a relative of the beet. It's a very colorful vegetable. It is something that is edible, and you can buy this in the supermarket. We see the leaf blade, and the blade is the photosynthetic area. And down below that, we see the petiole, and the petiole attaches it to the stalk. Now, since this is a relative of the beet, what we find is all the leaves come out of the taproot, which are down at ground level. Over here, we've got another leaf, and you can see the petiole going up, and it looks like a leafy part around the petiole, and that part we actually call a stipule. And the stipule is this leafy area at the base of the petiole that sometimes goes around the stem. Another thing we see with leaves is leaves tend to fall off at some point, and where they fall off, they were attached to the stem, and where you can see they were attached to the stem, you see what we call a leaf scar. And leaf scars are very interesting because on a lot of trees where they drop their leaves at the end of the year, you can actually tell different types of trees based on leaf scars. And they do have books on how to tell what plant it is and things like that based on the leaf scar. Another part, we have a node, we have an internode. The node is the point of attachment of the leaf. That's where the leaf comes out of the plant. Now, this plant here is bamboo, and I put up bamboo because it's very interesting to see, and it's very easy to see in here. You've got the places where the leaves come out, and these are the nodes, and we'll denote those by the two arrows. The internode is the area between the nodes. It's the part in there between the nodes. So this area in here is the internode. The size of the plant depends on how many nodes does it have and how big are the internodes. So if you've got two plants that have the same number of nodes and one has bigger internodes than the other, then all of a sudden they get to be much bigger. It's not uncommon to have bamboo in the state of Florida grow up to 15 to 20 feet in height. It has the same number of nodes as the giant bamboo, which grows up to 60, 70 feet in height. And the main difference is the size of the internode. So bigger the internode, taller the plant. If you look something like wheat, wheat has much lower internodes and only grows to about 3 or 4 feet in height. So we see these, and these become very important as well. Phyllotaxis. Phyllo goes down to leaf or sheet. Taxis is the way these are put together. So when we look at phyllotaxis, we're really looking at how leaves are attached to a stem. And in here, we can see that these particular leaves, what you have is you have an opposite type of attachment, where the two leaves come off at approximately the same height, and as they come off approximately the same height, they come off opposite each other on the stem, and you get this particular type of attachment. In here, you can see where the leaf attaches, and that is the petiole coming up. We could have alternate type. Now, this is a branch of a tree, and this is first year growth. And what you see is you see the point where the leaf comes off, and you see the next one, and you see the next one. And what happens is you got one coming off one side, one coming off the other side, then one side, then the other side. And we call this particular type of phyllotaxis alternate. A third type you can get is this, and this is what we call whorled. And this is all coming out of a taproot that's in the ground. And what you see is everything is spiraled around in the same area. And it just goes around and you don't actually know which one's coming off of where. And we call this a whorled sort of thing. If you look at the top of a pineapple, it's whorled. And this type of format becomes very interesting because it allows us to tell things about plants. So when we look at phyllotaxis, again, we're looking at leaves, but it tells us how we understand a particular plant. Now, here's two words, guttation. Guttation goes back, gutta means drop, and we have something that we call a hydathode. And on the leaf, basically, let's look at it. On the leaf, we said we have parallel veins, we have net-like veins. As you have these veins pull moisture up and they take it up to the various parts of the plant. When the day cools down and the plant no longer needs water, it sends a signal down to the roots saying, hey, stop sending up the water. But it takes a while for that to shut down. And as it shuts down, you still have an excess of water coming up. These drops of water accumulate on the edge of the leaf at the place where the vascular system comes out to the edge of the leaf. And as it comes out to the edge of the leaf, it creates this little opening where this water comes out. And you can see the little drops right here. What happens is next day, when the plant starts needing water, it will draw this water back in up until the time the plant can provide enough water coming out of the root system. So we call these little drops guttation. They come out of the little part of the leaf called the hydathode, and they become very interesting in water relations. This is not dew because dew would condensate on it. Here's another leaf. This is a cucumber leaf. And what you see is you see the guttation. And notice, it's really all around the edge of the leaf. And that's because this moisture is coming out of the hydathode.